Hello to everyone watching on YouTube and listening on Spotify. It's another episode of NRG Insights, where we talk to people in the mortgage world, whether that be broking, lending, or any kind of affiliates, just in regards to their kind of insights into the market, anything interesting they've got to say, and generally people with influence in the market. So today I've got Lorenzo from HTB. Welcome, Lorenzo.
Thank you, Marcus. Thanks for having us today.
No problem at all. We spoke about this. I wanted to, a couple of reasons I want to speak to you. One, obviously, I want to hear about your journey and the HTB stuff, but obviously, maybe not as well documented as others. You've had a few potential problems in the last couple of years, or the last year or so, and I wanted to, or you thought it'd be a good idea as well, didn't we, when we talked, just to have that conversation and make sure that people are kind of aware of it. But we'll get into that bit later. Let's just talk to me about your kind of financial services journey and how we've got to where we are now.
Yeah, so I think my financial services journey probably goes back about 30 years for my sins, Marcus. It's pretty much been predominantly in the specialist market, whether it be the buy-to-let sector, the subprime in the early days, bridging commercial development. So through a wide span of lenders, basically, and I've done some broking as well. So I've got the other end of the spectrum as well. So I've seen the transaction from beginning to end. So I sort of empathise with a lot of the brokers.
I was going to say, do you find that helps?
Yeah, it does. It definitely does, because you can really feel, when there's transactions that are not going the way you want them to do. You can empathise with those brokers accordingly.
Yeah.
And understand what they're going through. I mean, to take a transaction from origination to completion from a broker's perspective is challenging.
Yeah.
No matter what anyone says, but you need to be able to understand that as well. But also have the balance as well, particularly if you're sitting on this side of the fence, and understand that as well.
Yeah. Good. And so talk to me about your position at the moment at HTB.
Yeah, I'm the sales director for the bridging team at HTB, which was formed in 2023.
Yeah.
I came on board to push that team forward. Had a fantastic 2023. Exceeded probably the bank's expectations and where we are. Obviously, we've got the challenges this year, but that's the same for everyone. In the market sector, but yeah, we're pushing on. We're doing really well, and we're growing as well. So, our team's growing. That comes with other challenges, obviously, but our team's growing. I mean, it's going in the right direction.
Good. And talk to me about those challenges. How's it gone? How's it? Because I mean, you've written a lot of business, haven't you? Considering it's only been from 2023. So, how have you coped with that? Being relatively new in the market, and obviously all the challenges we've come up against.
Yeah, I think when we came into the market, probably wasn't the best of times. I mean, look, HTB have been doing bridging for a number of years, but it was, for want of a better expression, it was more of a side product, a byproduct. So we officially launched in 2023, but we came into a market where there was the challenges from the previous year. Should I say the Liz Trust era?
That was fun.
And we've come into a market where it was, obviously interest rates were rising, a lot of competition in the market, and you could arguably say that we were punching for a lot of that time. But like I said, we've exceeded expectations. We've done really well. We've established ourselves within the market now. And now it's time pushing forward. We've got a 3-year plan, so and it's going to plan as we speak. So yeah, I mean, if we look at this year as well, 2024, we've had a number of things that have come to challenge us. Obviously, still this uncertainty where interest rates are. Obviously, economy is coming down to where we need to have it now. I mean, I think we were at 2.3. I think the target level's 2. I think the Bank of England are going to be under pressure to push rates down, and then you'll start seeing some momentum.
Yeah. So how do you see this? How do you see the kind of the back end of this year, just with that kind of improving?
I think we'll start seeing things pushing quarter 4. I'm being optimistic. I have to be. I'm in sales, so I'm going to be optimistic. I think there will be a bank rate reduction in the
Soon?
coming months. I don't think they have much choice if things go the way they are. And obviously we've got the election coming up as well. So
Be
there's a
interesting.
combination of factors really. So that's why there is a lot of uncertainty, and that's probably why bank base hasn't changed. So
You better hurry up. My fixed rate's up in November. I've just had my 6-month letter
I was
through, so
just
I don't
saying
want to.
my fixed rate's up very soon as well. So
I
we're both
looked
in that same boat.
I looked this morning at what the rate they'd offered me in comparison to what the rate I'm on, and it got me into work a bit earlier. Got me busy.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
obviously that side of the business is going really well. And we're gonna delve into something a bit more on the personal side, if that's all right. I know we talked about it, but I think it's really relevant, and I think it's happening more and more. We won't go into the kind of conspiracies of it, but this kind of thing does seem to be happening more and more to people in the industry. But do you want to talk to me about tell people that don't know just about what's happened to you recently and how that came about?
Yeah, I think I've had an interest in, near on 12 months, well, just under 12 months, I should say. So it's all started back in July. July the 9th, to be quite honest with you, 2023. Sunday evening, time to go to bed for the week ahead. Woke up around about midnight with a excruciating pain in my back. Woke up the wife basically and said, "Look, my back's hurting," and she just basically said, "Don't be so dramatic. Just take 2 Cocoldamol, you'll be okay. You've probably muscle strain from training." So anyway, done as I was told, basically, and I was pacing the room for about 20-25 minutes. It just had no effect, so I made the decision that I need to go down to the hospital. Done all the regular tests, asked all the regular questions. Have you got chest pains? No. Have you got? Are you clammy? No. Is your chest tightening in any way, shape, or form? Done the ECGs, nothing. So they done bloods. Had to wait a further 2 hours, and they just come back to me and said, "Look, Mr. Satchell, you've had a bit of an episode." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He says, "You've had a mild heart attack." So it took me back slightly. I said, "You're being ridiculous," but clearly they know what they're doing, and everything sort of escalated from there, which comes to sort of the main event really, where they stuck a rod up my arm, pump dying. They have a look round. They saw what's happened basically, and they said, "Yes, you've had a slight clot on one of the minor arteries, which has caused the mild heart attack." Basically, but to be quite honest with you, that will flush itself through. That can be eradicated with medication or changing your medication. We're more concerned about this over here, which was my aorta, which is your main vessel into your heart, pumps blood in and out basically. And they said it's enlarged. He said it's not uncommon, but it's not common, so to speak. He says you're probably about 2% of the population, which they said is what they call bicuspid, which is I've got 2 leaflets instead of 3 leaflets in my aorta. You've had it since birth, it's a birth defect, but we'll monitor it. Anyway, 3 months went by. I've done all the necessary tests during the 3 months, and they've come back to me and said it's actually getting bigger. We're going to refer you to, it's beyond medical opinion, we're going to refer you now. And I was referred to a Harley Street surgeon. They went through the protocol of what it is and where I don't want to be, because effectively it's an aneurysm, and if it goes, it's
Gone.
good night.
Yeah.
So the date was booked for February the 8th. I went in on February the 8th, and fortunately I came out of it on February the 8th as well, after I think it was about a 6-hour operation.
Blimey.
Yeah, and it feels like you've been hit by a truck.
Am I right in saying that? So that I know we've talked about this, but the heart attacks saved your life in the sense that they wouldn't have found that other.
Yeah, I mean,
Ironically.
I mentioned before. I said the questions you ask going into these type of operations is is not the same questions you ask when you've come out.
Yeah.
The key questions for me going in was, am I going to come out the other side? And that was what was only on my mind, if I'm being honest with you. And the things that you do be pre sort of op, which is quite daunting, is just making sure your house is in order, just in case. The chances are that's not going to happen.
No, no, you still got to do it, haven't you? Like that must be a horrible experience.
You've got to go through that process, and it's not great for yourself, and it's not great for your family.
Yeah.
So, and then the post-op questions, and I asked the surgeon when he signed me off. It was really a case of, can you sort of confirm to me, if I didn't have that heart attack last year, how would I have known about this situation with my aorta? And he says you wouldn't have done, and that was enough said, really, to be honest with you. Usually people find out when it's too late. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed in every way.
Blessed with a heart attack doesn't seem that'd be an interesting title for a podcast.
It's the strangest thing ever, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's and yeah, like I said, I think you do look at things differently.
Yeah.
It's you have your emotional moments, should I say, up and down regarding those sort of things, because you do sort of think back on it and think, I'm lucky to be here. It could have been the case of, I'm gone and, I leave my family behind. So.
Did you obviously I've spoken to Jamie about this in the past as well with his side of things. How was it afterwards? Because he went into a bit of a depression afterwards without even kind of acknowledging it initially, just because you've kind of so many emotions that go through you.
You do go through, through a weather of emotions, ups, downs, indifference, and the way I've dealt with it is keeping to a process, and I'm sort of conscious of that. So even from the first day I came out of surgery, they got me out of bed and said, right, you're moving. Okay, you are joking? I said, I just literally within 24 hours, I said, no, we've got to get you moving. So the case I've got up, and it's small steps, even like walking to the door and back.
Yeah.
Okay, then get back in. And I've kept to a process, and I always knew in my mind, if I keep to the process, then I can extend that going forward. And I knew from my general fitness, and it's not me blowing wind in my sails, I was a fit person.
I was going to say this as well. I think this is relevant to people because you were fit before, right? It wasn't like, obviously you have the stresses of the job and obviously everything that goes with, being out and about and clients and that kind of thing. But at the same time, you kept yourself fairly fit.
Yeah, I kept myself fit, and I was conscious of that before I went in. I said, right, I need to sort of maintain a level, but within reason. Yeah. So I don't want to over extenuate myself.
Yeah.
So I just basically, it was small steps every day. When I got home after 10 days, because I was 4 days in intensive care and 6 days in a room in Harley Street, and when I got out of there, I said, right, okay, what I do is then I go and walk for 5 minutes, come back, sit down, rest, recover, and then the next week it's 10 minutes, 15, 30, and you just build. Now I'm back in the gym, everything's measured through heart rate.
Yeah.
And that was sort of guided from my physiotherapist when I came out. And what we had to do and how it needed to be done. But it was quite interesting because he wanted to know about my background in the past and what I did for work and what I did for exercise. And I sort of explained to him that, work is like an emotional roller coaster. It's a stressful environment. What my passion is, training, weights, circuits, boxing, running, intense training, high intensity. And he says it's really simple why this has happened, because it makes sense from your perspective. You're trying to combat the stress against exercise, and it's going like that all the time for years and years and years on end, eventually something's going to give.
Do you know what?
As you get older, that's what happens.
I've just always thought that the level of exercise that I do, because I'm the same, I'm quite intense when it comes to exercise and fitness. I thought that's combating the stress that I have at work.
Yeah.
And then you speak to professionals who are like, there's a happy medium, right? There's also not sitting on the couch isn't going to help your stress levels either.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I've never lived that lifestyle. You know, I don't smoke. You know, I'd probably drink like the next person. I'm not excessive with that type of thing, but I've always trained, and I've always combated things with, you know, eat well, train hard.
Yeah.
But I think what needs to be, certainly for me now, what needs to be taken into consideration going forward is, you know, I am of an age now where I need to make sure everything is measured and how I train and how I do it. So it might be over a longer course of time, or over that just intense, quick blasts all the time. So, you know, that's something I'm going to live with. I'd rather be here than not on that basis.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I definitely will get back to there. I have a plan in my head. It's probably going to be a 12-month plan to get back to where I was.
So I think the most poignant thing for this is, right, there's lots of blokes around our age who are in that kind of decade where they are still fighting with that, want to keep the same fitness levels as they did when they were younger, and we've all got these jobs where, you know, it is stressful as much as you don't, you know, I know we're not digging holes down the mines and stuff, but it's still a strain on your body, isn't it? What do you think people have to kind of think about maintaining stress or maintaining a lifestyle without killing yourself?
Yeah, I think, and I've said this to my guys, you know, and I've learned from I say mistakes. It's always life lessons.
Yeah.
I've learned from my life lessons. They're not mistakes; they're life lessons, really. You know, what's your week look like? How are you managing your week? Is it productive? You mentioned something the other day about work-life efficiency.
Yeah. You can't steal that. I told you, that's mine. I'm having it.
You know, work-life balance, but I think work-life efficiency.
Because work-life balance is a bit bullshit, isn't it? It's too hard. Yeah. Like, what does it mean?
Yeah.
You know,
I think work-life efficiency is correct, and you know, are we running around like lunatics for unnecessary? I mean, you know, accessibility. I can remember a time years gone by, and these are habits that you get into, which, you know, from the outside world, they're going to be great habits because you're accessible all the time. But from your perspective, it's not, because it's not sustainable. You know, and when I say that, you know, accessible 24/7, weekends, you know, evenings, early
holidays,
mornings, holidays is the worst one. And you know,
what's funny is I've always worn that as a badge of honour. The fact that you can get hold of me whenever you want.
And I've done the same. I've done the same thing. But we're all human at the end of the day, and we, you know, particularly in the environment that we work in, we need some downtime and we need to recharge to go again. And over the years, I just ignored that.
Yeah.
You know, I've been very fortunate. I've been very fortunate. Certainly coming into this business, I had to slow down a lot. I know, obviously, I've had things that have happened to me while I've been in this business. But I've been fortunate because it has slowed me down immensely. And I don't mean slow me down as I'm standing.
Yeah, it's not slowed down like business levels, is it? Like you say, it's just being smarter.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm grateful to this business for that, particularly the likes of Jamie, who I work for, and Alex Upton as well. So, you know, I'm very blessed in the people I've got around me.
So do you think that has to change for like the next? Is it a generational thing? Because I'm a million miles an hour. I love it. I don't feel like it affects me. It's not detrimental at the moment. But then I keep hearing of colleagues and peers in the industry similar ages to me that are getting health scares. So do you think it's got to be like educated?
Yeah, I think it is a generational thing, and that's probably, maybe it's me being biased. I don't know, but I think it is. But you know, I'm a firm believer now, and you know, habits, behaviours come from the top.
Yeah,
and it's about educating that down the line as well. You know, if one of my team is working while they're on holiday, I wouldn't be too happy about it. And that's not me trying to stop them working. It's just a case of I'm thinking about their welfare.
Yeah. And do you think that has to cover that's across the board, right? So, as you say, behaviours come from management. But does that, like, I still work on holiday. I don't expect my team to work on holiday. What are you showing them the wrong things by doing it? You know, are you showing them the wrong things by turning up at meetings when you should be relaxing or?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if they're, I've seen both sides of the coin now. I've seen both sides of the coin. I've seen what, you know, working at 300 miles an hour, trying to cram everything in, no rest point, nothing whatsoever, you know, working every day. And I've seen the other side of the coin is maybe just stepping back, looking what you're doing during a week.
Yeah.
And breaking that down and saying who you're seeing, why you're seeing them, does it make sense, you know, and making sure that your time is efficient that way. And I'll take the latter all day long now, looking at it. I'll take the latter all day long.
We should be working efficiently anyway, shouldn't we? We should be using our time efficiently, you know, rather than headless chicken type.
Exactly.
Do you think that does, and not so much with you guys, but do you think that does come from the top as well, about, like, you know, full diaries, making sure, or even if you're looking like a busy idiot, or you're not looking like a busy idiot, you're looking so busy.
No,
do you think it's like a management thing where you go, actually, what are you doing? Do you know what?
Yeah,
how's this benefiting us?
Yeah, I think everyone needs a full diary. They need to. If I look at my diary and I look at my team's diaries, they're always full.
Yeah.
They need to be full. But like I said to you, are they seeing? Why are they full? Who are they seeing? Where are they going? What are they doing?
Yeah.
Basically, it has to make sense. You know, I remember many years ago that I was doing 2,000 miles a week in my car, covering the width and breadth of the country. And I've done that for 4 years. And at that point, I had to change jobs because I was burnt out.
Yeah.
I was burnt out completely.
Let's talk about burnout, actually. How do you feel it coming? Because I've spoken to a few people about burnout, and it's really hard to understand if you've never had it, because I honestly don't feel I've ever been on the edge of burning out. But I'm quite lucky in that I love it. But how do you know it's coming, or how can you? If there's signs for people that haven't happened to?
Yeah, I mean, I can only relate to my own experiences. You tend to find, I suppose it's a type of burnout. You tend to find when you're exhausted is when you go on holiday. And for years, the first 2 days of my holiday, I wasn't well.
Really?
Because what happens is you are going at such a run rate, your body's like that every single day, and then you're active at the weekend, you're doing what you're doing, okay, and you're going round and round and round and round and round and doing that. When it comes to holiday, everything stops completely. So your body it goes into shock.
Yeah.
Completely, and you end up being ill.
Really?
And that was the norm. I said, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to be ill for 2 days, and I accepted it. I just accepted it, which is madness. It is madness. When you talk about it now, it's absolute madness.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a sign of burnout, but you know, I think when you're really, really tired, or you've just been doing that full pace, 100 mile an hour, I think I miss things, or I slip up where I wouldn't normally. Yeah. I'm pretty good at not dropping the ball. I think that's like a telltale sign for me if I'm a bit, maybe need to knock it on the head for a couple of days, or relax.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's another thing. You've hit a pertinent point there, Marcus, is that if you're running at a pace, you will miss things.
Yeah.
There will be things that are missed, because there'll be certain things, not everything, because you don't need to think. There might be certain things that you don't need to think about. It's an absolute no-brainer, but there will be things that you need to sit back and actually think and be more considered about.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying let's do that at snail's pace.
Yeah.
But
just be smart.
You know, if you're doing everything at 300 miles an hour, something's going to give, and then you will make mistakes. There's no question.
Got you. So Advice-wise, to blokes, oh, not just blokes, but people that are listening to this, but that is the gender that seems to be getting hit with these problems at the moment. Any advice that you can give to blokes your age that have thought about, because it's really poignant. You started talking to me about it, and then I can't get out of my head. So you don't want it to be like I missed my Wellman appointment and that kind of thing. And then I spoke to you and I spoke to Jamie, and the more and then there's kind of 3 or 4 other people in the industry that haven't kind of announced it as much. But what advice can you give to people if they're not sure, if they just feel like there might be underlying issues?
Right, so this is what I've learned, and this is probably my advice: is no one's indestructible at the end of the day. Everyone thinks they are until something happens. I think the key things are, and particularly in this industry, and I see it more and more now, and I probably see it more and more based on what's happened to me, is that due to the pressures and the stresses of the day-to-day environments and all the functions that are going on, that seems to be a bit more of a release for a lot of people. And I'm seeing people, not everyone, of course, but you're starting to see there's a drinking culture involved in that. And that's a slippery road.
It's not new though, is it? I mean, the drinking culture, like we meet in pubs, don't we? We're British, we don't...
Well, yeah, exactly. And listen, I'm not trying to be a hypocrite here, because I've been down that road.
Yeah.
Been down that road many moons ago, and but it is a slippery road. And I think you need everything in moderation, and I think if people get into that age now, I think obviously the first thing they need to be doing, if they think there's signs of problems, go and get a checkup. I never even went for a checkup. Mine was.
You don't think, when you're fit, you're exercising, that kind of thing. You're not overweight. You just like everyone needs to have make sure they know what's going on inside them, don't they? Yeah,
exactly. And whether it could be because heart or circulatory problems, but it could be for anything else. Yeah. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
If you feel there's something not right, you go out there and get it done, okay, before it's too late, if I'm being honest with you. That's probably the advice I can give. And just be more considered about the environment that we're working in, and what they do, and do it in moderation, basically.
Yeah, and it's a similar kind of advice for leaders as well, I imagine. In that, you've got to keep an eye on your people as well, right? You've got to keep an eye on burnout and
100%. And I'm more so now than ever. Yeah. I feel quite strong about it, and I'm probably quite overprotective of the team I've got around. How do
you do that? How do you maintain that with the team? Because they've still got a point to prove, and they're still growing a career and that kind of thing. They're at different end of their career,
I keep it quite simple, and I'm honest with each individual, really, and I call it how I see it with each one. Obviously I have to speak to them differently because you've got different personalities, but you've just got to be honest with people. If I feel that someone's, they haven't got anything to prove to me, if from based on what they're already doing. I don't need them to go to the nth degree and prove even more, because they're already doing it. If there's something that needs to be pulled up, then fine, we need to have a discussion. But generally, it's a case of speaking to them one to one. I have conversations monthly with all my team individually. And it's not just about where they're going regarding business. It's how are you, basically? Is everything okay?
Do you have those well-being chats, do you? Because I think they get missed quite a lot. I mean, obviously it's poignant to you because of what's happened, but you're comfortable having those kind of well-being type conversations with your team.
I just put it in with my usual monthly sort of one-to-one sessions, and making sure everything's okay. And you get your moans and groans as you always do, but that's management at the end of the day. But it's just making sure everyone's okay and they're happy. Someone said to me the other day, funny enough, you've got to get up in the morning and enjoy what you do. If they're not doing that, then there's a problem.
Yeah, no, definitely. That'll make sense. And like I said, it's really it's just poignant with what's happening recently. So I do appreciate you coming on. I do appreciate us having that kind of conversation. And there are lots of people listening to this who it should be striking a chord with, just about getting yourself checked out, and also
Yeah.
not chilling out a bit's not right, but just being smart. Like we said, work-life efficiency. To work your life efficiently.
Yeah.
Right, there's no point in working
and the
yourself
other
into a
thing to
grave.
think about, yeah, exactly, Marcus. And the other thing to think about, if they don't want to check themselves out for themselves, check themselves out for their family, you know, because people tend to forget, you know, though, for argument's sake, I've been through something and it's been quite traumatic looking back on it, but people tend to forget the people that are around it that love you,
Yeah.
what they're going through as well, you know. And one of the things that hit a chord with me, and hopefully this will reach out to people out there, is when my daughter, she's grown up now, she's 23, but she came home. This was after my operation, probably a month or so, and she had a bit of a meltdown. And I asked her, you know, what's the matter? And she goes, you know, it's just all caught up with me. She says, I thought I was going to lose my family. Now that, if that's anything, that should hit home.
Yeah.
Now, most people have got kids,
Yeah.
you know, and if that hits home, and if that can't hit home to people, then, you know, to get themselves checked out,
Yeah.
then I don't know what will.
No, that has to me, genuinely. I'm a rebook all the things I've missed, because I do need to. I appreciate your time, Lorenzo. If anyone wants to talk to you about it, or has any kind of questions, obviously on the business side, if anyone wants to talk to you about this that we're talking about today, how can they get hold of you?
Yeah, they can email me. Yeah, my email's lorenzo.satchell@htb.co.uk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all of your socials will be on our socials
Yeah,
as well, so
they
people will be able to get
can
hold of it.
reach out to me on LinkedIn. I've been quite fortunate, and you've hit another point. When I had my heart attack last year, I reached out to some people in the industry that I know have been through the same thing, and probably never mentioned before. But once it's like buying a car, isn't it? Once you buy that car, you see loads of those cars.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. Once something happened to me, then you realise, I could probably name 5 people that something's happened to, whether it's heart or circulatory.
Yeah.
And I've reached out to certain people within the industry, and they've been absolutely fantastic. You know, what they've been through, how they're dealing with things, their emotions, and how they've dealt with those emotions as well.
Nice. I appreciate that. So yeah, like you say, if anyone has any genuine questions about that kind of thing, reach out to you, right? You're happy to speak about it. Good. Thank you, mate. Like I said, it's a little bit of a different turn on what we normally talk about on here. I'll have you back on to talk about the business stuff as well. But it is really useful for people, and I hope people genuinely take heed. And if it helps out anyone, then it's worth talking about, right?
Absolutely.
Good. Appreciate your time, Lorenzo. I'll catch up with you soon.
No problem.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.